10 years ago today, 2 Welch teens disappeared.
And right now, OSBI is offering a big reward to find information about Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman.
It started with a house fire, and then it was a murder, and then it was a double murder, and then it was a double murder and a house fire and 2 girls abducted. And that's what it is right now, almost 2 decades later.
Danny Freeman was shot in the face. Kathy Freeman was shot in the back of the head.
Kathy and Danny Freeman have been murdered. Their daughter and her best friend are missing.
Oh, they was taking pictures of those girls when they was assaulting them, and most of the people are dead now that was involved in it.
They can say what they want. There was nobody looking for the girls but my family.
On December 29th, 1999, Ashley Freeman turned 16. She spent her birthday with her best friend, Lauria Bible, along with her parents, Danny and Kathy Freeman, and her boyfriend, Jeremy Hurst. They gathered in Freeman's mobile home in Vinita, Oklahoma to celebrate. The evening was filled with the usual birthday festivities, and Jeremy left the home around 9:30 p.m., waving goodbye to everyone. Later that night, or possibly in the early morning of December 30th, something terrible happened. A fire broke out in the Freeman's home. It was still dark outside when a neighbor noticed the flames. Alarmed, they called the fire department at 5:30 a.m. When firefighters arrived, they fought the blaze as Lauria's parents and local police began a desperate search through the charred remains. Authorities pieced together the grim scene, and what they found was even more horrifying. The fire, which they extinguished, was no accident. Someone had set it up deliberately, intending to cover up the sinister acts committed inside the home. The search for Danny and the girls continued, leaving the community of Vinita reeling and holding on to hope amidst the tragedy. What exactly happened was that after the cheerful birthday celebration, the evening took a tragic turn. On December 29, 1999, high school friends Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman were together in Welch, Oklahoma, enjoying Ashley's 16th birthday. Earlier that day, they had a wonderful time at a local pizzeria with Ashley's mom, Kathy Freeman. Lauria had gotten permission to stay overnight at Ashley's home.
She comes running in the house and asked if she could spend the night with Ashley. I said, well, now, you know you got animals you got to take care of tomorrow, and you need to be home by noon.
She left her own home that evening with a promise to her father, "I love you, Daddy," and he reminded her that she needed to be home by noon the next day.
Her last word was, "I love you, Daddy." You don't expect them to be the last words you hear, but out the door they went. I didn't think nothing of it.
The night was supposed to be a simple sleepover, but it turned into a horrifying mystery. At about 5:30 a.m. on December 30th, a passerby saw flames engulfing the Freeman's home and quickly called 911. When firefighters arrived, they battled the fierce fire, not knowing the grim scene they would find inside. Once the fire was under control, law enforcement stepped in to investigate. They discovered a chilling scene. Kathy Freeman's charred remains were on the floor of her bedroom. Shockingly, she had been shot in the head.
Kathy was found in her bedroom, face down on the bed, but the waterbed had exploded in the fire and preserved her body from being burned completely.
The initial shock deepened when they realized that Ashley, Danny, and Lauria were missing. No other bodies were found at the scene. As officers looked around, they noticed Lauria's car still parked in the driveway. The keys were still in the ignition, suggesting a sudden and unplanned departure. This clue was puzzling and concerning. It hinted at urgency, or perhaps an interrupted attempt to escape. The local police began piecing together the horrifying events. They speculated that perhaps Danny Freeman had killed his wife and then fled with the 2 girls. This theory cast a dark cloud over the community, filled with fear and confusion. Everyone started to look at Danny with suspicion, wondering if he could really do such a thing to his family and a friend of his daughter. The tragic events of that December night left the small town of Welch in shock. A birthday celebration had turned into a grim crime scene. A family was torn apart, and 2 young girls were suddenly missing under mysterious and terrifying circumstances. So after the horrifying discovery of Kathy's body, the next day brought Lauria Bible's parents back to the scene of the fire. They clung to a sliver of hope, thinking perhaps they might uncover something the investigators had overlooked. Barely 5 minutes into their search, they stumbled upon another grim find. A body charred almost beyond recognition. But it wasn't Lauria or Ashley. It was an adult male who had also suffered a violent end.
You see, there's something up there on that floor. You could instantly tell it was a body of a man. He had no face. No face. I called 911, told them who I was, told them I was at the Freeman's, and I told them there's another body in this fire. Those experts left a body in the fire.
This man, they learned, was Danny Freeman, Kathy's husband. The condition of his body was horrific. His face had been so severely damaged that it seemed he had been shot there. Similar to Kathy, the evidence indicated that Danny had also sustained a shotgun wound at close range. The discovery deepened the mystery and sorrow of the situation, casting an even darker shadow over the tragic events. The investigators, spurred by the discovery of Danny's body, conducted another thorough examination of the site. While they found no other remains, they did find something intriguing: Lauria's purse. Inside, her driver's license and nearly $200 in cash were untouched. This puzzled Lorraine, Lauria's mother, who couldn't help but wonder about the circumstances under which her daughter would leave her purse behind, unless she had been forcibly taken. Lorraine speculated that someone had deliberately targeted the Freeman home, leading to the deaths of Danny and Kathy and the abduction of the girls. This theory prompted the Craig County Sheriff's Department to question the motive behind the incident. If it had been a robbery, the purse and its contents would likely have been stolen. If the intent was to murder, who would benefit from the death of Ashley's parents? During that time, a chilling piece of information came to light. Danny had once confided in his brother, Dwayne Vansell, with a stern warning: "If anything ever happens to me, look at the Sheriff's Department."
He had fear in his eyes, and he pokes me in the chest and said, "If anything ever happens to me, you look at the Sheriff's Department." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he looked at me in the eye. He says, "I'm telling you, if I get killed," he said, "you look at the Sheriff's Department."
His words were not casual. They were a deliberate caution, reflecting deep-seated concerns about something sinister. These words left everyone grappling with various chilling possibilities. What did Danny suspect? Was there a deeper layer of corruption or threat that he felt endangered by? The community was left with more questions than answers, with each revelation adding to the complexity of the case. So after discovering the bodies of Danny and Kathy Freeman, the mystery deepened as the 2 girls, Lauria and Ashley, were nowhere to be found. The case was tangled with rumors and suspicions. It all started with a tragic event years before, when Danny's son, Shane, was shot and killed by a deputy. They ruled Shane's death justified because he had a stolen truck and a neighbor's gun. However, the Freemans didn't agree and considered suing the Sheriff's Department. Danny even told his brother Dwayne that the deputies had been intimidating him and his family, saying that they could do whatever they wanted to him without consequence. When the grim discovery of Danny and Kathy's deaths was made, the local Sheriff's Department, amid swirling rumors of a feud with the Freemans, stepped aside. They turned the investigation over to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation to ensure impartiality. The deputies involved even took polygraph tests to clear up any suspicions.
It was determined that OSBI should be called in. It was kind of the policy at that time that anytime there was something major like that, call in the OSBI.
So the OSBI shows up at around 10 a.m. led by Agent Steve Nutter.
Special Agent Steve Nutter from the OSBI reported that the tests cleared them, concluding that the sheriff's office had no involvement in the murders or the disappearance of the girls. As the community grappled with these events, another theory emerged. Some speculated that Danny may have been involved in small-scale drug trafficking, suggesting that a drug deal gone wrong could have led to the murders. However, Agent Nutter quickly dismissed this idea, arguing that the scenario didn't fit. If it had been drug-related, abducting the children would be the last thing the murderers would want.
She wanted to consider that it was drug-related and nothing fits correctly. The very last thing that the people who committed the murder would want to do would be abduct the children.
Amidst all the theories, another shocking possibility was considered by Captain Jim Herman of the Craig County Sheriff's Department. He suggested that the tension within the Freeman household might have led Ashley to murder her own parents and flee with Lauria. He noted that there had been significant friction between Danny and Ashley, which couldn't be ignored. Yet, Agent Nutter countered this theory, finding it hard to believe that the two girls could manage to stay hidden for so long on their own. As each theory was debated and investigated, Jay and Lauria Bible, Lauria's distraught parents, were left with nothing but heartache and unanswered questions.
At different times to the sheriff department, we're going to interview you.
Yeah, we go there, and all they do is ask us questions about Danny and Kathy and their family. Then we leave there, well frustrated and just upset. I went home, I prayed about it all night.
They wondered continuously where their daughter and Ashley could be, and why they would have left if indeed they had. The pain of not knowing added to the heavy atmosphere of suspicion and tragedy that hung over the community. Each passing day without answers intensified the mystery and the lingering hope that someday, somewhere, the truth would come to light. As the investigation into the disappearances of Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman continued, the twists and turns seemed endless. Over the years, two convicted killers, Tommy Lynn Sells and Jeremy Jones, confessed to the murders. Their stories brought a glimmer of hope that the long-standing mystery might finally be resolved. Jones even detailed his grim actions, claiming that he had killed Freeman's parents over a drug debt and then taken the girls to Kansas. There, he said he shot them and disposed of their bodies in an abandoned mine.
Okay. Do you ever hear how much money they were?
It was over 10,000 for him.
Right.
He was a fiender. What I call a fiender, somebody always out there chasing dope.
You were describing what, to the best of your recollection, going inside the Freeman's mobile.
Going into the door, going left, going through the kitchen, going down the hallway to the master bedroom.
Tell us what you're saying. What's flashing the
same with Danny. Two people in the bedroom, 2 shots, shotgun to the head. Killed the man first. He's the strongest one in the house. The other person, there were no lights on dark. The other person tries to get up out of bed, tries to get away from you. Yeah.
What happened?
Jumped across the bed, tackled that person, and shot him.
How'd you burn it?
He had a cone filler in the house sitting on the kitchen table. I went outside the house and watched the fire burn, and they come running out of the house. Scared to death, didn't know what was going on there. I didn't know they was in there. They see me, they ask me for help, I come get in the truck. We'll go get some help, and then get them in the truck, hold them with gun for him. Have electric door locks in the truck, you know what I'm saying? Keep the door locked. Can't get out. I don't know what to do with them. I drove probably to Galena, Kansas. About 15, 20-minute drive. Lots of open gravel country. You can drive off the dirt road, just off the side of the road into the gravel. Get them out of the car, talking to them, you know what I'm saying, tell them everything's gonna be okay.
And what happened?
Shoot. And then drag the bodies off and put them at home.
This lead prompted a search of the mine, but nothing was found. Eventually, Jones admitted he had made up the entire story just to receive better food and more phone privileges in prison. Tommy Lynn Sell's confession followed a similar pattern. Initially, he confessed to the murders, but like Jones, he later recanted, leaving authorities and the families with more questions than answers. These false leads added to the frustration and heartache of the investigation, casting a shadow of doubt and despair over the efforts to find the truth. During this time, an investigator shed light on another angle. He revisited the long-standing tension between the Craig County Police Department and the Masons, which had been ignited by the death of Shane Freeman. Shane had been shot by a deputy after stealing a car, and while his death was ruled justifiable, the Freemans had considered filing a wrongful death lawsuit. Danny Freeman's brother Dwayne revealed that Danny had felt intimidated by the deputies, suggesting that their relationship with law enforcement was fraught with conflict and animosity. These allegations added another layer of complexity to the case, intertwining personal vendettas with official investigations. The local community was rife with rumors and speculations about the role of the police in the tragic events, complicating the search for objective truth.
In the 12 months leading up to Lauria and Ashley's disappearance, there were Justice for Shane posters posted all over the community, and most everyone that lived here in Craig County knew that there was bad blood between the Freeman family and Craig County Sheriff's Department.
As each new piece of information emerged, it seemed to lead only to more dead ends. The repeated false confessions and murkiness of the motives behind them left both investigators and the families involved in a state of perpetual uncertainty. Each lead that fizzled out took its toll on the community's trust in the investigation and on the family's hopes for closure. So after the initial shock and the flurry of investigations, a significant turn came when a private investigator named Tom Pryor made a surprising discovery. Just days after the tragic events of 1999, Pryor found an insurance verification card in the driveway of Freeman's home. This small piece of evidence led him on a trail that would reveal chilling connections.
The initial days, there's a private investigator who finds a car insurance verification card
on the Freeman property
Right.
that did not belong to anybody who lived in that home.
The details on the card directed Pryor to a woman who had been living with a known drug dealer, Phil Welch. His search continued, leading him to a salvage yard where he found a car that held more clues, girls' clothing, and a rental receipt for the mobile home where Welch resided.
A man by the name of Tom Pryor and Joe Dugan, the private investigators, they were actually at the scene and they found that insurance verification.
Welch had a troubling past. He had been in the Kansas Department of Corrections for multiple offenses, including attempted aggravated burglary and aggravated assault, both in 1993. Though released in March 1996, Welch didn't stay out of trouble. His criminal activities continued, and by May 2000, he faced charges again, this time for injuring a minor child and domestic violence, though some charges were eventually dismissed. An intriguing aspect of Welch's character emerged from his obituary, which stated that he served in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War and was an ordained minister who assisted at a community church in Kansas. Despite his seemingly upright life, some described Welch as evil, even though he was known for singing Bible hymns.
No one really has anything nice to say about him. He was kind of one of those born bad kind of fellas. Again, a meth addict, he was incredibly fanatical religious.
Witnesses even recounted how he and another suspect, David A. Pennington, often acted like holy rollers, presenting a stark contrast to the heinous acts they were suspected of. Unfortunately, the authorities initially didn't take Pryor's discovery of the insurance card seriously.
We tried to get it to the authorities, Tom Pryor and Joe Dugan did, and Nutter said, oh no, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
The authorities did not enter the card into evidence, leaving it with Pryor for nearly 2 decades. It was not until the district attorney's office and the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigations revisited the case many years later that they reached out to Pryor for this crucial piece of evidence. Investigators pieced together that Welch, along with his associates David Pennington and Ronnie Busick, were likely behind the murders of the Freemans, motivated by a drug debt. Investigators also suspected them of kidnapping Ashley Freeman and Lauria Bible, ultimately leading to their tragic murder. While the years passed, the case saw many attempts to find the missing girls, but all efforts have been unsuccessful. Busick, the only one of the suspects still alive when charges were finally prepared, pleaded guilty to being an accessory to the murders of Kathy and Danny Freeman. However, he denied any involvement in the disappearance of the two teenage girls. The tangled web of crime, misleading confessions, and delayed justice painted a grim picture, leaving the families of Ashley and Lauria with endless questions and a longing for closure that seemed even more elusive. The community continued to grapple with the tragedy, hoping that someday the full truth would emerge and bring peace to the memories of those lost. The unresolved nature of the case continued to haunt everyone involved. As the years turned into a decade, the mystery of what really happened to Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman remained unsolved, a painful and lingering question mark in the lives of their loved ones and the larger community. With each passing year, the desire for closure grew stronger, even as the chances of uncovering the full truth seemed to fade away. So after years of searching and piecing together what happened, a major breakthrough came in April 2018 when police arrested 66-year-old Ronnie Dean Busick. He was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder related to the deaths of Lauria Bible and the Freeman family, which shook the community. Along with Busick, 2 other suspects were named: Warren Philip Phil Welch II and David Pennington, though both had already passed away by the time of the arrest. According to reports from the Washington Post, a disturbing number of witnesses, around a dozen, claimed that the 3 men had openly bragged about the heinous acts they committed against Bible and Freeman. These witnesses recounted how the suspects boasted about raping and murdering the girls, as well as taking Polaroid photos of the tragic scenes. These photographs supposedly showed the girls bound, gagged with duct tape, and lying on a bed, and Welch disturbingly appearing alongside them in some of the images.
As set forth in the affidavit for arrest warrant, Phil Welch, Dave Pennington, and Ronnie Busick killed Mr. and Mrs. Freeman, abducted the teenage girls, and set fire to the Freeman home. Information is also filed with the affidavit, revealing the girls were kept alive for an unknown number of days following the fire. That Polaroid photographs of the girls in their final days were seen by multiple people, and Welch, Pennington, and Busick made many statements to multiple people about the crimes during their lives.
One woman who lived with Welch shortly after the girls disappeared provided a sworn affidavit. She described overhearing conversations among the 3 men, revealing that the victims supposedly owed them money. She also claimed that Welch kept a briefcase containing these horrifying Polaroid photos. The brutality described in the affidavit was chilling. The men allegedly raped and tortured Bible and Freeman before finally disposing of their remains in a pit or mine shaft in Pitcher, Oklahoma. There was also a belief among law enforcement that the girls' bodies might have been dumped in a cellar, which was later covered in concrete. During this time, the Bible family made a heartfelt public statement. They shared their long-standing knowledge of the alleged photographs and emphasized their continued focus on finding Lauria and Ashley. They expressed a commitment to keep searching until the girls were brought home, stating that without their recovery, the ordeal would never truly be over. After his arrest, Busick expressed a desire to speak to the Bible family. On April 26, 2018, Bible's mother, Lauria, confirmed that she had spoken with Busick, but heartbreakingly, he denied knowing where her daughter or Freeman could be found. In a significant turn of events, on July 15, 2020, Busick pleaded guilty to being an accessory to first-degree murder in the deaths of Danny and Kathy Freeman, the arson of their home, and the abduction and presumed murder of the 2 girls. Although he confessed to withholding information about the involvement of his accomplices, Welch and Pennington, he was sentenced to 15 years, 10 in prison and 5 on probation. While in prison, Busick was categorized as a level 4 inmate, which indicated he was cooperative and non-problematic. He earned credits for positive behavior, leading to an early release. On May 19, 2023, after serving just 38 months of his sentence, Busick was released, his behavior behind bars having significantly reduced his time served. Despite the years that have passed, Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman remain missing, leaving their families and the community in an ongoing state of heartache and uncertainty. As per the latest updates, there is still no definitive resolution to their disappearance. However, hope remains alive through continued efforts to solve the case. Currently, a $50,000 reward stands for anyone who can provide information that leads to a significant breakthrough. If you believe you have any details, no matter how small or significant they may seem, we urge you to come forward. Your contribution could be the key to uncovering the truth, bringing closure to their loved ones, and ensuring justice for Lauria and Ashley. Thank you for sincerely taking the time to watch this video. If you found it informative and want to stay updated on this case or others like it, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us keep these stories alive and continue our search for the truth. Remember, by subscribing, you're not just joining our community, you're helping to spread awareness about these unsolved cases. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and please, if you can, help make a difference.